Pasagunitan kipigisquiwindo, kahkido, kahkino, kahkio, kagaskitanano, mamawayage, kitiek, uskip matsak, ugiskinoamagiwak, namuya, namuda, namona, awana, kagipiago, maga, kamamawayakpo.
It sounds like Cree, right? Welcome to Canadian Languages. My name is Wabi, and I'm challenging myself. I'm gonna learn as much Cree language as I can in the next 10 days. I'm gonna use YouTube, Google, apps, books, whatever it's available. Why am I learning Cree? Actually, there is a lot of reasons, but the main one, we are based in Regina, Saskatchewan. We are in the Cree territory. Professor, thanks for having us here at the First Nations University of Canada. Which would be the easiest way to learn Cree?
The easiest way to learn Cree would be through an immersion process where you're working with a fluent speaker in the language on a daily basis. You set aside a certain amount of time per day to spend time speaking the language with a fluent speaker. Here in Canada, I'd say we have about 86,000 speakers of Cree. And that's from northern Quebec all the way to northern British Columbia. And within that area, we have 5 main dialects of Cree language. And all the dialects don't really understand each other. Like the dialect in Saskatchewan and the dialect in northern Quebec are very different, but they're still Cree.
I'm challenging myself to learn Cree in 10 days. What do you think if I can come to see you in 10 days and then we're gonna have a discussion just in Cree?
I think that would be excellent. It's a good challenge, and there are resources for you to work with, but don't get discouraged if you can't pronounce the words properly. You know, and we'll talk about, like in 10 days, choose your topic, and we'll talk about that topic.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Deal?
Deal.
See, about the words in the Cree language, sometimes they are very long.
Sometimes they are, but sometimes we have short ones, like
yeah.
You know, like that here.
Kisek, it means end also.
Yeah, and then kisik with a long vowel.
Kisek, it means the sky.
Yeah, exactly. And then here we have itape.
Itapi and itapi.
Right, exactly. Takun.
And takun.
And takun. Yeah.
Oh man.
That kind of stuff. So there, we do have some short words.
I think,
When we all have really long words, like the word for university.
University, yeah? What is the word for university?
I'm going to get you to say this to me in 10 days.
Okay, I need 10 days. Like. Oh yeah, for sure. Première constatation, il n'y a pas beaucoup d'informations en français en fait. Je vais prendre ici l'exemple de YouTube, qui est la plateforme d'apprentissage par excellence ces derniers temps. Quand je tape apprendre la langue Cree, CRI ou bien CRIE, ça ne donne tout simplement rien du tout. C'est-à-dire aucun contenu sur la langue. Je vais même m'aventurer à faire du franglais en tapant Cree, CRE. On est toujours dans le néant total. Par contre, quand je l'écris en anglais, le moins qu'on puisse dire, c'est qu'il y a quand même du contenu. Enfin, en d'autres termes, si quelqu'un veut apprendre le Cree, bah vaut mieux qu'il soit anglophone, tout simplement. And based on your experience, why people are learning Cree language?
As a language keeper, we recognize within the past couple of years that Indigenous languages were basically endangered of being extinct, right? So language keepers like myself from across Canada started to work towards language reconciliation and revitalization, and a lot of that reflects through the Truth and Reconciliation, the TRC that came out a few years ago. And yeah, that's one of the calls to action was to try and work towards language revitalization. And because of that, within the past few years, there's been an increase with language programs and offering language programs in the community in hopes that we can start working towards reviving a lot of these languages. Because, like I said, they were a threat to basically being endangered. So,
and what are the benefits of learning the Cree language?
With the Cree classes, with the language classes I facilitate, I always incorporate discussions around people and culture and history, right? Because my philosophy as a language keeper who has taught language for many years, I feel like you can't learn the language of the people unless you learn the culture and history behind them. So as you notice in my Cree classes, I incorporate a lot of discussions on the people, the diversity within the cultures, and just cover as much historical context as much as I can to the best of my knowledge and ability. So,
Roman, thank you very much for your
thanks.
time.
You're welcome anytime.
So, how do we write in Cree? There is actually two ways to write in Cree. There is the syllabic form, and it looks like this. This is not an alphabet, it's an abugida. Each symbol represents both a consonant and a vowel. And this is how we say me, no, or ka. But the most commonly used form to write in Cree is the SRO, the Standard Roman Orthograph. The SRO does utilize the symbols of the Roman alphabet. It has been designed specifically to meet the needs of the Cree sound system. And here is the SRO alphabet. As you can see, there is short vowels and long vowels. We have also 1, 2, 3, 10 consonants. Did you notice something? Where are the other consonants? I mean the B, the D, the F, the G, J, Q, U, V, X, Z. Actually, they just don't exist. There is no Cree words using these sounds.
Do you know where I am? I am at the government house here in Regina, and I'm here to meet the Lieutenant Governor of Saskatchewan, the Honorable Russell Mirasty. Why am I meeting the Lieutenant Governor? Because he's a fluent speaker of the Cree language. He represents Her Majesty, the Queen of Canada, Elizabeth II. That's why I'm wearing a suit, because there is a protocol to follow. Let's go inside.
Welcome to Government House.
So nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
How do you maintain speaking the Cree language?
Well, there's two parts to it. One is actually speaking Cree at every opportunity, and secondly is thinking in Cree.
Yeah.
And so those combined have helped me retain the language regardless of where I was. And as you probably know, I was transferred all over Canada and to non-Cree speaking communities, obviously. So with those two things, I was able to retain the language.
Do your children or grandchildren speak Cree?
My children understand more than they speak, and they're making a more concerted effort now, recognizing the value of having a second language. And the grandchildren don't speak Cree, although we are introducing them to the language. Is probably the best way to do it. What I've done is every opportunity I get, I share a few words, everyday words with them. But one thing that I've done a little bit unique is we have a new pup.
Yeah.
And so rather than teach the pup English commands, I teach the pup in Cree. And so the purpose of that is every time they're around us and our pup, they're hearing me use Cree words with the pup. And so what it does is it gets them used to hearing the sound of the language, right?
Yeah. How we can ensure the future of the Cree language?
Well, I think for those of us who speak Cree is to make sure that we take every opportunity to share it with either relatives, people that we know, people that are interested like you, and through those means, the interest will grow. There's also real concern, a valid concern, that we are losing most Indigenous languages. And so I think from every level from community level to even governments recognize that, and there are efforts being made to find ways to maintain the language and actually increase its usage.
I heard also, Your Honor, that whenever you finish a speech, you finish it with a greeting in the Cree language.
That's right.
Can we show us how it looks?
Sure.
like?
Well, I'll say it in English
like
first.
that?
I'll say it in English first, so that you can have them both. And it is my pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of Canada. And then in Cree, I would say, and I started this some time ago, soon after I entered office. I thought it would be a nice way to incorporate the language into my work. And so the way of saying it in Cree is, Nimedudi tini pitamatawao at tamiskatuin, ki togamasco tse Elizabeth II, ki togamasquino o tagitaskino Canada kitamak.
Wonderful. So yeah, as Roman said, when you are in the process of learning a new language, you have to submerge into the culture of that language.
Napeo, napesis, isqueo, isquesis, equa kakio tatukak isi nuuk, uta kaski ki tutu mi hinan.
Chief Delarme, how are you?
I'm
how
good.
You doing?
I'm good.
So proud to see you.
Thank you,
honored.
likewise.
Do you think that the Cree language will survive?
Tapwe, it will. You know,
It
in
will,
Cree,
yeah.
Tapwe means true.
Yeah.
It will survive. You know, unfortunately, there are some languages that are dwindling down. Right now, we have the Nakota language in Pheasant Rump in southeast Saskatchewan. Their last two fluent speakers are very elderly, and so they're quickly trying to scramble to save their language. Cree, I believe, is going to reemerge.
Yeah.
It's going to probably have a different flow to it because there's certain definitions in the Cree language that have now went on with the ones that went ahead of us.
Yeah.
But it's going to survive. So Cree is one of the languages that we must continue. But you know, we also must keep focus on the other languages as well.
For sure. Chief Delarme, how we say thank you in Cree?
Teniki hai hai.
Teniki hai hai, Chief Delarme. It was so nice to see you. Going through the books, I learned many things about the Cree language. For example, we should never use apostrophes or capitalization when writing in Cree. Cree is a polysynthetic language. It means that the words are very long, and this is how we say university in Cree. Kichi, kiskin, wa, hama, to, wi, kami, kuk. And here is probably the longest word of the Cree language, the word for hippopotamus. Kichi, kis, pa, ka, sa, kiwi, misti, pwa, mi, ma, kito, ni, swap, itewi, ata, mi, peko, pima, ta, kawi, kokos. And this one is for the family. This is how we say Black Lives Matter. Kaski, tewi, yi, ni, wak, opima, tisi, wi, ni, wa, we, ispihte, yi, ta, kwani, yik. Polysynthesis is the process of stringing together many morphemes or word parts into long words, which means that something that needs a whole sentence in English can just be one long word in Cree. And here are some examples.
She had passed it on to me somehow through the English language, but we have quit passing it on through the language, and we need language. Language is very important. A lot of our stories are, when they're put into English, they lose their meaning. A lot of our words we don't have an English meaning for, so then it loses what it's meant to be.
I'm pretty sure you were always asking yourself why some people, they can learn a language easier and faster than others. I have the answer. Let me introduce you to lingua culture.
Once again, he takes an arrow and go.
Lingua culture is a term that means that a language includes not only elements such as grammar and vocabulary, but also past knowledge, local and cultural information, habits and behaviors. Why culture is that important? Because usually when we learn a language, we focus on grammar, but we don't really get along with grammar. I never heard any love story between a language learner and grammar. Grammar has rules. Culture has no rules.
Maga Newigan me guachos kanaka sastege ota. You like that?
In my family, when we first, originally I'm not Cree. My family doesn't come from Cree origins. More so we married into them. My dad's side of the family, we're Soto and Dakota. My mom's side, we're Ojibwe and Dakota. So we have a lot of intermingled with the Sioux, but I don't speak any Sioux, and I don't speak any Soto or Ojibwe.
Someone in your family speaks another language?
My grandma.
You told me, is it your great-grandma who speaks like
Yeah,
four
she
languages?
was the one who spoke. She was she spoke like Cree, Soto, Dakota, Nakota, Michif, and French, and she was learning English at the end of her life. Because on my reserve on Cowzus, it was a French community, hey? Maryville. It was called Maryville before it was called Cowzus, hey? So then it was a big French community, and that's why we have so much French influence with our last names, as you can see. And also because back then, lots of people did speak French, eh? Because of the church. The church was a French-run church, so of course the kids learned French and they brought it home. So some of the parents started to speak French, eh?
Probably for the first time in history ever, we're gonna have a featuring between the Cree poetry, represented by Darian and Solomon, and the French one, represented by Wabi. You know what? Let's start.
Oh yeah, there you go. Payak ni son estone wo asiniwak chik na note papa motan. Yeah.
C'est pour Castro encore reste fidèle. Sankara, Mandela et Louise Michel. Jamais de fuite face au conflictuel.
Ni nano negotosik te pa coupe sa gaiganik na note papa miskan. Yeah.
Il y aura toujours Haja à Nanterre. Ce n'est pas Paris, c'est le Valois, la ville lumière. Tiens, voici la parole d'un mec du terre-terre.
Ay na neo kega mitatat. Mr. Hene na mo chigitan we witi mi kape mambagisian. Yeah.
La réussite pour nous, c'est un fait. Passons. Je ne suis... Je vais bien finir par y arriver de toute façon. Ambitieux, je mords à tous les hameçons. Équité pour tous, telle est la revendication.
You speak on the highway and me waiting. I ispe matsuin, wanaskewin. Yeah.
C'est nous les Marocains, on te la vend à Chal et à combien? Mes ennemis représentent très bien le rien. Pendant que je me pavane avec le style qui est le mien. Solomon, how did we do with Darian?
Wah, كويس يا وسام.
Awesome.
Yeah, that way.
Very good.
There is multitude of ways to learn a language, but in my case, I prefer shadowing. What is shadowing? Is listening and repeating over and over the same word or the same sentence. Peak, 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 peak. Niso, 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 niso. Nisto, 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 nisto. Peak, peak, peak. Niso, niso, niso. Nisto, nisto, nisto. Pesak, pesak, pesak.
سيحاولون سيتمسكون بكل الآمال كرة عرضية رأسية مستحيل مستحيل لا تقلب الصفحة حتى تقرأ السطر الأخير تقرأ السطر الأخير السطر الأخير يكتب باللون الأخضر يكتب بلون الرجاء يكتب بلون النسور يكتب
Tansik ya Salomon.
Hey,
كيف وقت توتمان؟
ja, Toskian, Gemaga.
إبيك يوكاتان نمي وحدين أوتا كيتشي كيسكينوها ماتو ويكاميكوك
Hey, Kiagita Gigislam Hagen.
تابيكا كيسكينوها ماجيان نهيوي وين
Ja, sen.
نيوي سيبوهتان مستاس
How?
Solomon, how did I do?
You did good.
Oh man, that's nice. Why the Cree words are so long? Tell me why.
Yeah, Cree is not. Yeah, Cree is known as an agglutinating language. It's the words are put together according to the meanings. Like kichik is gonna have right? You have kiche for great, and then we have kiskanohamage for teach something. You have the matu in there coming into play for the reciprocal, and then wigamik indicates the building, and the OHK indicates location.
Oh yeah. Like
for
the
word university.
For the word university, Solomon, we have actually 3 words inside the word.
Yeah, we have 3. We have well, not 3, 4 units basically. You know, the kichi for great, kisanohamage for teach, matu for reciprocal thing back and forth, wigamik for the building. And the IH and the OHK for the locative. 5 things, I guess.
It's awesome. It's
you know,
awesome.
so that's why it's known as an agglutinating language.
It's so beautiful.
But you did good.
Well, you should give me a mark.
I'll give you
100%.
Actually, the way you did it, I'll give you an 85. How's that?
Oh man, that's nice.
All right.
That's like, do I have the level to teach Cree or not yet?
I wish you could do it.
Not yet. Okay. Thank you so
Just
much,
keep
Solomon.
trying it. Akameimo. 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 Akameimo.
Thank you so much, Solomon. It was
Okay,
so nice to see
excited.
you. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, you're welcome.
See you, brother.
Bye bye. Thanks for dropping by.
It's the end of our episode learning the Cree language. It was just wonderful. Like during 10 days, I met a lot of people. It was just amazing. I'm gonna carry on learning the language for sure, just because I found that there is a connection, and also because I liked it. There's something very, very important when we learn a language. We need to find those cultural elements to carry on learning it. And this is why, if I have an advice to give to people who are starting this learning Cree, is give yourself enough time to get around the subject. For our second episode, we're gonna give you a review about the Nakota language. Nakota language, a very local language here in Saskatchewan, only few fluent speakers, and we're gonna give you a review about it. Thank you very much, and stay tuned.